What's up guys, Linear Fan of Stuff to you, and today I am finally excited and proud to present to you the update to the Super Heavy Samurai's deck for PRE-CYAC's release in a couple weeks that I have promised and I have hopefully been able to deliver with this video. Now it's taken me a while to do this video because I had a lot of stuff going on. I've been trying to make certain videos that didn't work out the way that I wanted to. On top of that, I've had to redo this video like 7 or 8 times because every time it didn't come out the way that I wanted it to come out. But this is hopefully going to be the one that people are seeing. Now you might be asking, well, how much could have changed since the last video? How much could have changed since your last video that you posted showing these FTKs with gearbox and ancient gears and all these crazy tech pieces and choices and combos and starters and stuff? Everything. The deck has completely amorphized, aside from the Super Heavy Samurai stuff, which basically stays the same, but the combos have not only completely changed, the techs have completely changed, the way the deck's built is completely changed, the extra deck is very much so changed, and the combo, like I just said, is completely changed. So why so many changes, you might ask? What's going on? What has changed in the last 2 months that has caused such an uproar? That's caused such a fanaticism? Well, I finally realized how broken Symphonic Warrior guitars comboing with mics actually is. And I found a way to incorporate that small little 4-card Terratop Tekken Temborg engine into the deck to make it part of the combo and break the deck even harder than it already was. But fan of stuff, how come the OCG hasn't come up with this? How come they haven't already done this? If you're saying this is such a strong and insane combo, how come the OCG hasn't done this already? Well, I've already alluded to this in my other video. They don't have a key piece in the combo, tilting entrainment. Tilting entrainment is the centerpiece of the combo. It is the reason why it is so easy to FTK. You FTK with 3 cards because of tilting entrainment. That's all you need. The entire point of the FTK, the start of it, is to set up negation if you can. And if you can't set up any negation because you opened poor or you didn't have the right combo pieces or whatever, then you used the rest of your time to find Maxwell, and then the rest of the FTK just takes care of itself. So just to give you a brief idea of the deck, the goal is to get Maxwell in hand. And once you have Maxwell in hand, then you will try to summon Wakaushi on the board along with either a Soul Piercer or a Wagon. And if you can't get either of those, any level 4, but you have to have Soulbreaker armor in hand at this point. If you don't have one of those search cards, you're going to use Wakaushi with the level 4 to synchro into Tilting Entrainment. Tilting Entrainment will then summon Wakaushi from the extra deck back to one of your monster zones. You will then activate Wakaushi's effect to discard the Soulbreaker armor that you had in your hand. Now, if you didn't already have it in your hand, the Wagon can search for it while it's on the field before you synchro for Tilting Entrainment, or the Soul Piercer armor after you synchro for Tilting Entrainment can search for that Soulbreaker armor. Then Wakaushi discards that Soulbreaker armor, specials another from the deck, you activate Maxwell, synchro the Tilting Entrainment with the Wakaushi you just resummoned into Masurayo, because it's still a Super Heavy Samurai monster. You make its defense 0, banish the first Soulbreaker armor, deal 4k. The second Soulbreaker armor, you link it into a link 1, banish the second Soulbreaker armor, deal the other 8k, and that's game. So these combos are separated into 2 buckets. One bucket I like to call the strong FTK, and another bucket I like to call the weak FTK. The strong FTK is able to get Baron de Fleur out on summon 7, forcing your opponent to Nibiru or use hand traps before it's summoned. And even if they do that, you have pen scale set up to go for other plays if they do stop that. So that's for the strong bucket. For the weak FTK bucket, you don't have the ability to have the insurance policy of the Wakaushi in your Pendulum Zone, and you don't have the Baron FTK protection, but you are still able to FTK pretty easily without using many cards in your hand. So this is one of the strong FTKs that you can do with just Wakaushi and any single card in your hand. We're going to be getting out Baron on summon 7, and it's going to be very difficult for our opponent to interrupt this play. Remember, we still have 3 other unknown cards in our hand because we're just starting with 2 random cards. We're going to go for Axel Synchro, and this is where the insurance play comes in, because Axel Synchro is summon number 5, and Bike is summon number 6. So that means that your opponent has to Nibiru then. But what you see is that we also have Scale set up and a Search, which we got Soul Peacemaker out. And that means that our opponent, even if they Nibiru us then, we still have a Pen Summon, a Soul Piercer, and 4 cards in our hand to work with. Here we're going to go into Gear Gigant X. It's going to search us out for guitars, the broken card, discard our random card, get mics out the deck. That's going to let us get beyond the pendulum, who's going to search for our Maxwell. And at this point, we're going to pen summon back the mics, and we're going to pen summon back the Wakaushi with a level 4 monster, Soul Piercer in this case. And now we're going to do exactly like I showed you before. Go into Tilting Entrainment, he reborns our Wakaushi, we search for armor, discard special another armor, and now we're going to go into Masurayo, make the defense 0, and we FTK our opponent with 1.5 cards and Baran backup on summon 7 with an insurance policy of having a pendulum scales up 1 and 8, and on top of that having 4 cards in hand alongside with a soul piercer or a soul peacemaker, or some other card that we searched for if we already had Soul Peacemaker in our hand. So for that previous FTK, if you open Bike, it's the exact same combo because you would just discard Bike to search Wakaushi and then do the exact same thing that you just had done. In this, I'm going to show you one of the weak combos. When you open Wagon or you open Machina Metalcruncher, you have the weak combo. This is a combo that does not have the ability to go for Baron early because you're simply missing out on a search, on a very key search later on in the combo. That search is obviously using Wagon. The reason why you can't use Wagon later in the combo to search for your key piece is because you have to use it to start your combo, and it's one of the hard once per turn effects in Super Heavy Samurais. So as you can see here, we're not going into Baron de Fleur, instead we're leaving Bike up as a level 2 monster, and we're going to turn him into level 4 to then go for Gear Gigant X, search out our Symphonic Warrior guitars, and then do our combo from there. It doesn't matter what we discard, our goal is just to get out mics, and then when we reborn mics, we search for Maxwell. When we reborn mics and we reborn Wakaushi, we do the same thing as before. We pop 2 scales, we synchro to entrainment, we search out our Soulbreaker armor, and FTK our opponent. It's pretty consistent, it's pretty similar. The end board is really simple to understand why you're going for what you're going for, and at what points you have to do what you have to do. The center and the middle can get a little bit complicated depending on what you have, but the ending and the beginning is super straightforward for most of these combos. Now, of course, Machina Metalcruncher is always in its own little category because it has to do combos a little bit differently. But if you want to run Machina Metalcruncher to up your FTK percentages, this is how you would essentially do the combo. You start off the same way like the other one, but you got to do some different stuff here. You're going into Wakaushi, and you're using Wakaushi as Link 1 material, which is strange because you're not generally doing that. And then you're going to be discarding to reborn Wagon, which again is not something you generally do in these types of combos. You just have to do some weird stuff because you're starting with like a non-super heavy samurai monster and you're trying to bridge the gap. So you have to do some weird going around the bush to get it done and essentially FTK our opponent, but it's still possible. Just follow along with this combo over here, Beyond the Pendulum Search, and look, we're in the exact same spot as before. We got a Soul Piercer on board, we've got our pen scales, Beyond the Pendulum is going to pop the scales, and it's going to let us King Maxwell our Masurayo after Tilting Entrainment gets synchroed and reborns. And again, super simple end board, super simple ending, super simple start. It's the middle that can get a bit confusing with these combos, so I would honestly recommend rewatching these parts a couple times just to make sure that you have it down packed. So for Soul Piercer, the combo is the same for the 99% of it, except for the ending for doing the strong combo. Soul Piercer can do the strong combo, but requires you to have 2 additional cards in hand, not 1 additional card. If you only have 1 additional card in hand, you can only do the weak combo. So I'm going to be showing you guys how to do the strong combo here with the 2 additional cards in hand, since the cards are generic and it can be whatever you want, basically. So it's pretty simple to be able to do that combo. Everything is the exact same, except this is the point where it gets a bit different. You're going to be searching out Wagon with the Soul Piercer, and then when you reborn to go into Gear Gigant X, you don't really care what you go for. You're going to pop the scale, you're going to go into guitars, but the idea of guitar is going to discard that last card because you need to keep this Wagon in hand, because that Wagon is going to be how you search for Armor Breaker and Soul Breaker armor, sorry. And the problem with the combo normally is that Soul Piercer can't search Soul Piercer, so you can't just loop those 2 and then get Soul Breaker armor. So you need to go into Wagon, then get the Soul Breaker armor, and now you can do the FTK exactly as seen on the screen. Go into Masurayo, make defense 0, 4K, 4K, GG, no re, XD. Look, I'm a mind reader, okay? I already know exactly what you guys are thinking. What happens if I open mics? What happens if I open scales? Can I still FTK? And you're asking me, the FTK guy, can I still FTK? The answer is always yes, okay? And I'm gonna tell you exactly how. If you open scales, don't worry about it. When you use Scarecrow's effect, just discard scales instead of whatever else you were gonna discard and reborn the scales. That scales is then gonna use its effect to reborn whatever Super Heavy Samurai you were gonna reborn with the Scarecrow anyways. Then later on, when you use Soul Peacemaker, you can get out Soul Piercer from your deck, Wagon, Wakaushi, whatever you're looking for, because you already have that extra level 4 on board. So you're fine, because you got it out earlier in the combo. Now if you open mics, however, how do you FTK? Cue the montage. So here's the breakdown of the deck profile that I'll be probably using, or at least like 90% of this is what I'm going to be using. The only thing in here that I think you can look to cut is probably a couple of Reguluses, maybe a metalcruncher if you think you have too many combo starters and you're looking for just some extenders or turn 2 plays. You have these 3 hand traps that are interchangeable with anything. You can cut one of the Vernisylphs for something else if you want. You can try to sack and only run 1 big Benkai. There's a lot of options that you can kind of do. You can get rid of the Spy for something else. I really like Spy, so I'm going to probably be running 1 no matter what. But Spy is really, really good. But you can cut him if you want. You can add in Kashtiras, you can put in Nibirus, you can kind of put whatever you want in it. The Vernisylphs are absolutely insane in the deck, and they are the thing that probably makes the deck work in in general, because without the Vernisylphs, all you have is a YOLO FTK deck that's really powerful it's really powerful going first, but going second has an extremely hard time doing basically anything, unless you open really strong. And the Vernisylphs let you open really strong more often. Awakening can dump a Soul Piercer to the grave, and then you can use another Vernisylph to reborn the Soul Piercer from the grave. Oh, we only opened one Vernisylph. Well, we probably opened the Super Heavy Samurai. So then we can just normal that Heavy Samurai, go for Scarecrow, and reborn the Soul Piercer from grave anyways. So you just have like an incredible amount of plays that you can do. And the Vernisylphs open so many opportunities for you that it's absolutely insane. The other thing that's really good about Vernisylphs that doesn't seem really intuitive right away, but when you start playing it out, you're like, oh my god, I can't believe that's a thing. So the Vernisylphs say, after you use the effect, you cannot activate non-Earth monster effects for the rest of the turn. Most of your deck is Earth, but some of them are not Earth, so what happens with those? Well, it locks out your monster effect for Prodigy, so you can't discard the special Super Heavy Samurai from your deck. But the Pendulum special summon is a spell card, not a monster effect, meaning that Wakaushi can still summon himself and get you Big Benkai from the deck to get a search out, which is insane. Free level 4 plus a search, that's absolutely insane value. And it goes around the Vernisylph Awakening Forest. On top of that, Guitar is also a pendulum monster, so the discard to special Symphonic Warrior from your deck does not interfere with the Vernisylph restriction. And on top of that, you might be being, well, Mike's, you won't get the effect. You do get the effect. Because Mike's effect does not activate, Vernisylph specified that you cannot activate non-Earth monster effects for the rest of the turn. It doesn't say that non-Earth monsters are negated for the rest of the turn. So Symphonic Warrior Mike's still gives you an extra normal summon, which is absolutely wild. You have so many extenders and ways to continue making plays that you can easily go into Naturia Beast, Naturia Barkion. You can get out Saratobi to pop spell and traps. You can obviously get out Baron de Fleur from the gates. You can go into rank 4s like Dweller, Baguska. You can go into Gallant Granite to search out a Nibiru if you want. You can go into so many plays with this deck, and you can always have extenders. In the side deck, the only thing that's necessary is the Eccentric Archfiends and alternative hand traps, because Eccentric Archfiend is your only MST in the deck, aside from going into Shuten Doji to blow up their whole back row. If they have some sort of floodgates out, you're probably going to need Eccentric Archfiend to pop them. The other thing that's a really cool tech choice in the deck that I was thinking of running that I might try to find space for is Citadel with triple Overdrive. Overdrive pops a machine that you control, and it specials a Machina from your deck with a different name. So it can special out metalcruncher to combo start on like turn 3, let's say, if the early game is like really just resource trading. Or it can special out Citadel as an interruption during your opponent's turn, because it can blow itself up to blow up most of your opponent's monsters. And then it doesn't have negative synergy with the deck, because Overdrive banishes itself from the grave to shuffle back machine monsters that are either banished or in your grave, so cards that maybe got removed with DD Crow or whatever, you can bring them back with Overdrive, and then it also draws a card so it replaces itself. Another thing about the deck is if it looks like you have a terrible hand, the hand is probably still really good and you just are making a mistake or not thinking of something, because 99.9% of the hands that this deck has all have playable stuff in them, all have something you can do. This is just an example of me playing out a random hand that I kept refreshing until it gave me no combo starters, and I play this hand horribly, absolutely horribly. Not only is this hand like one of the really bad hands you can get with the deck because you have no combo starters, but I also play the hand horribly. And you can see I'm still going off, I'm still gonna get extra extenders, I'm still gonna get Omni Negates out. I haven't even, in this version, back when I did do this combo with this random jank hand, I wasn't even running Nat Beast or Barkion or any of those Omni Negators or stuff like that, so I was just going for whatever I can kind of do, and this is what I ended up with. But instead of this could easily be a Barkion or a Beast. This could easily be the other one, Beast or Barkion. You can easily, instead of going for Masurayo, go for a Baron. And of course, this wouldn't be a fan of stuff Super Heavy Samurai video without some coding implemented. I saw you guys actually kind of liked it the last time, so I put it in again. And just to show that there is literally no difference between this, the percentage chance in this FTK, and the percentage chance in the other one. The only difference being this version of the FTK has less bricks, it's a lot more consistent, you have more plays you can do, you have more techs you can run, your extra deck has more space, basically just better in every way, in my opinion. So just to show you, we have drew strong combo, drew weak combo, did not draw combo. These are just 3 variables that are going to count how many times we drew each type of combo or did not draw combo. We make a deck. Our deck has 24 random cards. We're going to make them zeros. We have 3 Wakashi, 3 Bike, 3 Soul Piercer. That's 9 cards. We're going to make those 1s. Wagon is 3 cards. We're going to make those 2. Metalcruncher, 3 cards. We're going to make those 3. Mike's is 1 card. We're going to make those 4. And then 5, this 5 is for the 5 cards in your opening hand. We're going to shuffle our deck, which consists of 40 cards. And then we're going to pop out the last element from the deck. So we are getting a random card from our deck 5 times, i.e. an opening hand. If our hand has at least one of these combo pieces, and we do not have mics in our hand, we call that a strong combo. If our hand has wagon, metalcruncher, or one of these combo pieces as well as mics, so both of these, right, 1 and 4, or 2 or 3, we call it a weak combo. And if it doesn't open any of those, we did not draw a combo. Then we clear the hand, we clear the deck, and we do that 100,000 times to see kind of what our % chance of this happening is, because we are lazy and don't like to do statistics math. We just like to make something loop 100 million times and have it tell us what the answer is. And so our strong combo percentage is about 66% of the time. So about 2/3 of the time you're going to open with a combo where your 7th summon is going to be Baron de Fleur, full pendulum scales to continue going off in case they do have the stops or the way to stop you. 26% of the time you're going to open only the weak combo, meaning that you're only able to go for a naked FTK play if your opponent doesn't stop it or anything. Again, this is not including being able to go for additional combos on top of whatever you're doing, using the Vernisylphs, going into Nat Beast, Barkion, maybe even teching in Cyberstein in the deck and going for Exterio. So this is not considering those plays at all. And then about a little bit over 8% of the time, you're not going to open any combo, as in you're not going to open an FTK combo. You still probably have other combos, but you're not going to open an FTK combo. And this basically means that about 92% of the time you will have an FTK in your opening hand. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I put a lot of effort into this one, really dug deep to try and learn more about the deck and fix a lot of the issues that the deck had. Hopefully I answered all your questions. I tried to put out every situation and all the different types of stuff you can do in those situations to give you guys as much context as possible so that when you play the deck, you know what to do with the deck in those situations. The problem is it's impossible to account for all situations because there are so many hands that they look like, oh, it's not good, I didn't open the combo. Well, not so many hands because 92% of the time you have the combo, but 8% of the time when you don't have the combo, you're going to be looking at your hand going, what do I do? What do I do? But you actually, and you think you don't have anything, but in that hand you actually have like nutty plays that you can go for. So it's really important that if you ever try this deck, you test a lot. You try and try and try. And when you test the deck versus people, or you try out the deck to see what's good about it, make sure you go for alternate lines. Make sure you're playing versus people who can stop your plays so that you can go for alternate lines and you can see the backup potential of the deck, because the deck can continue playing regardless, and it would suck to lose a game that you should have won anyways. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Put a lot of time and effort into this one, so remember to rate, comment, and subscribe, show support and everything. And I will see you guys next time. Ciao.